Welcome to the Business Strategy Analyst Africa channel, where we embark on a journey to unlock the untapped potential of the African business landscape, while challenging the status quo of business and management practices, revolutionizing these to make them modern and practical. For Africa, we examine management, leadership, strategy, technology and education to make them more relevant within the African context. Witness the bridges being built between countries on the continent, using such platforms as the African Continental Free Trade Area and nubianbiz.com. Africa's potential is limitless, and the journey has only just begun. Join us on Business Strategy Analyst Africa, where we continue to unlock opportunities and inspire change.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the channel, the Business Strategy Analyst. And this is your usual presenter, Jules Nate Togoli. Welcome back again. I'm so happy to see all of you here, and I hope you're gonna enjoy this presentation as always. And we have some of you who have been here subscribed. We encourage you to do so, please, so that we can grow the community and get to share more ideas, have more diverse ideas, so that we can learn from one another in how we can improve management, business, strategy, and anything that has to do with business in Africa. So once again, I say thank you for joining me, and thanks to those who have already subscribed. In this episode, is the customer king? Is he always right? A few years ago, a hotelier I was having a conversation with made the following popular statement: the customer is always right. I disputed it and gave my reasons. She caved in eventually and cited the scenario of a customer at her hotel who was rude to the point of disturbing other customers. Then she concluded that in that case, the customer could not be right and would have to be dealt with appropriately. The customer is always right. The customer is king are phrases that are always sung from the lips of many a customer-oriented person or business. And we have been taught this even in school over the years. But should we continue to believe these statements, these phrases? Is it not time we began to question those phrases? Is it really true? And if not, what should replace those phrases? First though, who originated them? And what actually do they mean? The slogan, "the customer is always right," started to be used in the early 20th century. According to phrases.org.uk, quote, in the USA, it is particularly associated with Marshall Field's department store in Chicago, established in the late 19th century. In the UK, Harry Gordon Selfridge, 1957 to 1947, the founder of London's Selfridge store, opened in 1909, is credited with championing its use. The Wisconsin-born Selfridge worked for Field from 1879 to 1901. Both men were dynamic and creative businessmen, and it's highly likely that one of them coined the phrase, although we don't know which. End quote. But did they really mean to say that, literally speaking, the customer is always right? The same source continues, quote, of course, These entrepreneurs did not intend to be taken literally. What they were attempting to do was to make the customer feel special by inculcating into their staff the disposition to behave as if the customer was right, even when they weren't. So there you have it. That is very instructive. It would therefore be self-defeating for a person or a business to take this literally. We will be looking at the reasons why. But meantime, what about the phrase, the customer is king? That phrase is credited to the renowned marketing guru Philip Kotler. But it doesn't mean that the customer is literally a king. After all, many kings get whatever they want without money. Kotler's words can be understood to mean that a company that is astute will be guided by the needs of its customers in designing and producing its products. Certainly, to some extent, the customer is king in that regard. However, there are varying degrees of kings depending on size, influence, and wealth. For instance, for companies that distinguish between their customers and end users or consumers, what a supermarket chain operator requires will be a stronger determining factor in what to produce and how to produce it than that of the end user or final customer who buys from the retail shop. Similarly, a prestige customer of a bank is a bigger king than others. Now, back to our earlier question. Is it really true that the customer is always right? As pointed out earlier, it would be naive for any business to take this literally. The reasons are simple. First, ironically, if the customer is always right, then he is badly served. In other words, customer service becomes perfunctory. Why? This is because the employee of the company is treated as second class. Thus, in a situation where customers misbehave towards him and management is always on the side of the customer because he is always right, the employee is demoralized and loses his self-worth. Hence, he performs his duty towards a fine customer simply courteously and does not go beyond that. It would therefore be wiser for management to be on the side of employees, keeping in mind that the customer cannot always be right. Second, an employee who's always wrong can never be happy. Thus, you would have to be choosing between your employees and your customers. I believe your employees should come first. They are the most important resource you have. As mentioned in the first point, if your employees are happy and serve customers perfunctorily, they would not be satisfying your customers enough to make them loyal to your business or to your brand. On the other hand, if your employees feel appreciated and know they're secure, they will be happy to serve your customers better. They will contribute to establishing a strong brand that will propel your business to greater heights. Certainly, a caution is needed here though. Some employees who know they always have the support of their employers may misbehave themselves sometimes and might even take customers for granted. They would reason that, my boss won't do anything to me if you insult me and I insult you back. This would be much akin to an employee who is in a romantic relationship with the immediate boss. Third, that the customer is always right will give rude customers the audacity to misbehave, and that will be fatal for business. Take, for instance, a restaurant that goes by that mantra. If you, as a reasonable customer, always have to endure the unreasonableness of a rough customer, would you continue to maintain your custom with that restaurant? Certainly not. And that would mean a loss to that business. In a similar fate befell a certain pub in Accra, Ghana, a while back that used to be a no smoking zone.
Like, share, subscribe, thank you.
Or place. However, having realized that some of the customers would love to smoke, they started admitting them to do so. Further, the type of music they used to play also changed to suit this horde. Eventually, they lost all of their decent customers. Interestingly, those that smoke will be content with just their smoke and a soft drink, while those that did not smoke rather gave them good sales. On top of that, they did not even sell cigarettes there. Granted, without the customer, there is no business, and retaining existing customers for repeat orders is very critical to the survival of the business. This fact is amply summarized in the words of Kimberly Collins, PhD, a research director for Gartner. And this is what she wrote. Quote, "The cost to retain existing customers is far lower than the cost to attract new ones. So smart companies are investing in ways to identify and better serve their most valuable customers." End quote. However, that notwithstanding, customers should not be made to believe that they can be rude to employees of the company and get away with that. How then should customers who misconduct themselves be handled? The following suggestion might be helpful. First, it is good to listen. The customer may have a litany of unreasonable complaints or demands. If he is not violent, it will be good to just listen, even though he might not be making sense to you, knowing that you accorded him that respect will calm him down. Why not part with even a gift for him if necessary? That might just be the right trick. And mind you, it doesn't have to be expensive. Next, don't argue. Never argue with the customer. Even if in his mind he is always right, you know he's not. But if you argue with him, he will be encouraged to defend his stance even more. And the more he does that, the more he wastes your time and that of others. He also repels other customers. Besides, he will look for more faults with your services. And remember, your services, no matter how good, could never be perfect. And he will go out bad-mouthing your business. I witnessed an incident that demonstrates the wisdom in not arguing with a customer. A certain customer complained that his car had been broken into and demanded to hold the business owner responsible. There is a very tactful way of handling this, if you ask me. However, the business owner elected to go down the gutters with this customer in arguments, citing a legal caveat that absolves him of responsibility in the event a customer's car is broken into. The customer creates a scene and shouts, "So, do you hear, all you fellow customers? This man simply does not burn fine about whatever happens to your car." It is certainly okay to obtain such a caveat, but was it wise for him to argue with the customer? As the previous point suggests, just listen to him, apologize, and let him be on his way with just that complaint. He is not a king, neither is he right in that instance. You only work to save your business. Period. However, if all efforts fail, just fire him. It is better to lose one customer than lose a loyal employee and a couple of decent customers who are affected by the misconduct of the one customer. If you can fire your employee if he misconducts himself, I don't see the reason why you can't do same to an unruly customer. Even if it becomes necessary, invite the appropriate law enforcement agency to take care of him. I believe that while those phrases could be partially reasonable, they can be deceptive. We should thus rather be viewing the customer as a partner rather than a king who is always right. What do I mean by that? There are times when the customer either does not know what he wants or is plain wrong. And the converse is also true. There are times when businesses do not know what their customers need and so go totally wrong. Hence, a partnership would help in mutually satisfying the two parties. It would therefore be wrong for consultants to impose on their clients what they believe to be the right thing for them. Similarly, it will serve no good purpose if a client demands of his consultant to do things absolutely his way. When the two parties view themselves as being in a partnership, the contributions of both would bring about service that is uniquely tailored to the needs of the client to satisfy them. In my career as a business development and web consultant, I have come across clients who simply don't know what to expect out of the design and development of their website or a business plan. And these clients would rather I make all the decisions for them. Along the same breath are those who, although they know nothing about website design and business plan development, they pretend to know everything. On the other breath are those who really know what they want. In all of this, what I have learned over the years is to partner with them to the extent possible. Those that know nothing and will want to make all the decisions, I find creative ways of soliciting their views and incorporating these. The truth of the matter is that those same persons would eventually see a lot of things that are wrong with the final product. So involving them is very critical in meeting timelines and satisfying the customer as well. Those that pretend to know everything, I go along with them, playing the fool as it were, while I tactfully guide them to the right outcome. My experience is that if you allow them to dictate all the way, when they see the final project, they would normally say, "That is not what I asked you to do." And nothing could be more frustrating Those that have a fair idea of what they want are certainly the easiest to work with. At least you are certain when you are doing the right thing. And satisfying the customer gives me, the consultant, a sense of accomplishment. It is clear from the above scenarios that the customer is definitely not always right, and definitely partnering with him is a better way to achieve success. Yet, in all of this, mutual respect is very crucial. Thus, the belief that the customer is always right and the customer is king is very flawed if taken literally. So now, here are the highlights, the takeaways. The slogan, "The customer is always right," is particularly associated with Marshall Fields and Harry Gordon Selfridge. These entrepreneurs didn't intend to be taken literally. The phrase, "the customer is king," is credited to the renowned marketing guru Philip Kotler. His words can be understood to mean that a company that is astute will be guided by the needs of its customers in designing and producing its products. We should thus rather be viewing the customer as a partner rather than a king who is always right. So, folks, once again, we've come to the end of another episode, and I thank you so much for making the time to be here with me. And as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'll also want to hear from you. I want to hear your views on what I've been saying. Let me know whether you agree or disagree. It's all good. We all learn from each other. So please go ahead and let us know what you think. So until the next episode, it's bye-bye from me, Jules Nati Tukuli.